Hi and welcome to this brand new episode of Horror Talker. If you find these stories thrilling, do subscribe to our channel Horror Talker. And share it with your friends and family. Let's start with some exclusive stories which you won't believe actually happened. One fine late evening, me and my colleagues decided to try something unusual. As we ventured deeper into the decaying, long-forgotten hotel in the heart of New Orleans, a palpable sense of unease settled over our group of urban explorers. The once elegant lobby now lay in ruins, its grand chandeliers reduced to tarnished skeletons hanging from the ceiling. The fading wallpaper whispered tales of a bygone era, hinting at the horrors that had unfolded within these walls. Illuminated only by the dim glow of our flashlights, we pressed on, our footsteps echoing through the hollow corridors. Dust-covered furniture, draped in tattered sheets, stood frozen in time. Cobwebs adorned every nook and cranny, casting eerie shadows in the corners of the dilapidated hallways. The first unsettling discovery came as we reached the second floor, our flashlights casting eerie, elongated shadows on the cracked wallpaper that lined the narrow hallway. Scrawled in faded crimson, like bloodstains seeping through the ages, were cryptic messages that sent electric shivers down our spines. Each message seemed more sinister and unsettling than the last. "No escape," read one, its jagged letters appearing as if they were clawed into the wallpaper by desperate, trembling hands. The words seemed to pulsate with a malevolent energy that seemed to invade the very air we breathed. "The hotel knows," warned another, the phrase etched in hurried strokes that conveyed a sense of frantic urgency. We exchanged nervous glances, our hearts pounding in our chests. What could it mean? How could a mere building know anything? As we continued down the corridor, the writing grew more chaotic and deranged, as though it had been etched by a tormented soul seeking release from the clutches of some unfathomable darkness. Phrases like, "They watch from the shadows," and, "beneath the floorboards," appeared in twisted, almost illegible scrawl. The oppressive weight of the messages pressed down upon us, the walls seemingly closing in as we struggled to make sense of the madness that had unfolded within these forsaken walls. The flickering beams of our flashlights revealed no signs of life, no trace of the one who had left these cryptic warnings. It was as though the very essence of despair had seeped into the walls, leaving behind only its haunting message. Each step we took echoed through the desolate hallway, a cacophonous reminder of our presence in a place that had long been abandoned by sanity. And as we pressed on, the feeling that we were being watched, scrutinized by unseen eyes, intensified. We couldn't shake the sense that the asylum itself was a malevolent entity, its decaying walls bearing witness to the horrors that had transpired within. The asylum's history had left an indelible stain on the very fabric of the building, and it seemed to revel in our fear and discomfort. The cryptic messages on the walls were a testament to the dark history, and it was clear that the horrors of the past still held sway over the present. We were trapped in a nightmarish echo of time, unable to escape the malevolence that clung to the asylum like a vengeful spirit. With every step we took, the oppressive atmosphere seemed to intensify. We couldn't help but wonder if the tormented souls of its past inhabitants were watching us, their restless spirits trapped within these decaying walls. The hallway stretched on endlessly, the walls closing in as though trying to swallow us whole. We were prisoners in this house of madness, and there was no escape from the horrors that lurked within. As night descended upon the city, our flashlights flickered intermittently, casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. The air grew heavier, the silence more oppressive, and the sensation of being watched intensified. Each creak of the floorboards felt like a whisper from the past, a reminder of the countless souls who had met their fate within these forsaken walls. We ventured deeper into the labyrinthine maze of the hotel, each room revealing more sinister secrets. Abandoned luggage lay scattered, as if their owners had vanished into thin air. Murmurs and hushed voices echoed through the dark, labyrinthine halls of the abandoned asylum, casting an eerie and disconcerting atmosphere. These unsettling whispers seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, as though the building had retained the memories of the tormented souls who had once dwelled within its confines. We exchanged nervous glances, each of us silently questioning the source of these ethereal voices. Were they the remnants of long-departed patients, their tortured spirits lingering in this place? Or were they the manifestations of our own growing unease, mere echoes of the dread that had settled upon us since our arrival? Though we were certain that we were the sole living souls present, or so we thought, the presence of these spectral voices challenged our perception of reality. It was as if the asylum itself had become a sentient entity, taunting us with its tragic history and malevolent secrets, daring us to delve deeper into its darkness. As we approached the third floor, a chilling apparition materialized before us. A woman in a tattered, blood-stained gown, her eyes hollow and her presence ethereal, drifted silently down the corridor. We watched in awe and terror, her gaze never wavering. Was she for real? Was she alive or dead? What had happened to her? Or with her? The woman was just one of many spectral figures we encountered that night, each telling a tale of despair and anguish. We were tormented by the echoes of their pain, their stories etched into the very fabric of the hotel. Hours turned into an eternity as we explored the labyrinthine maze of the haunted establishment. Desperation gnawed at our souls as we realized that we might never escape its malevolent grasp. The hotel had become our inescapable purgatory, a place where the sins and sorrows of the past fused with the present, ensnaring us in its web of horror. As we huddled together in the cold, decaying lobby, we knew that we had become part of the hotel's dark history. With every creak of the floorboards and every whisper on the wind, we were reminded that the line between the living and the dead had blurred within these cursed walls. Our only hope was that, someday, someone else would venture into the decaying, long-forgotten hotel in New Orleans, uncover our stories, and perhaps, release us from our eternal torment. But until then, we remained trapped, check-in guests who could never check out, forever entangled in the hotel's malevolent embrace. Deep within the heart of upstate New York, our group of urban explorers embarked on a chilling adventure that would haunt our memories forever. Armed with flashlights and nerves of steel, we dared to trespass into the decaying ruins of an abandoned mental asylum, a place where forgotten souls had once suffered unimaginable horrors. The asylum itself loomed like a malevolent sentinel, its sprawling wings casting ominous shadows against the fading light of day. Our exploration began in the long-forgotten hallways, where the walls seemed to seethe with the whispers of the past. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the silence was punctuated only by the distant echoes of our footsteps. Our journey took an unexpected turn when, in the bowels of the building, we discovered a concealed basement entrance. The wooden door, weathered by time, creaked open to reveal a passage into darkness. With trepidation, we descended the rickety stairs, leaving behind the safety of the upper floors. As we reached the basement, our flashlights revealed an unsettling sight. The walls were lined with decaying records, their yellowed pages chronicling the torment of countless souls who had once been confined here. Patient names, cryptic diagnoses, and ominous treatment regimens hinted at disturbing experiments conducted in the name of science. Ominous treatment regimens and procedures hinted at the depths of cruelty that had taken place within these very halls. It was as though the walls themselves absorbed the anguish and agony of those who had suffered, and that malevolent energy clung to the records, seeping into our souls as we delved deeper into the abyss of the asylum's history. In the dim light of our flashlights, we couldn't help but feel that we were disturbing something ancient and malign, something that had been lurking in the shadows, waiting for unsuspecting souls like ourselves to uncover the truth of its malevolent past. In a dimly lit chamber, we stumbled upon a collection of ominous medical equipment that sent shivers down our spines. Rusty surgical tools, distorted by time and stained a deep, morbid crimson, lay scattered haphazardly on a grimy, blood-stained table. Each instrument seemed to tell a harrowing tale of agony, bearing witness to the unspeakable atrocities that had unfolded within these walls. As our flashlights cast eerie shadows across the grotesque scene, the metallic glint of blades and the crude, archaic designs of the implements sent shivers of revulsion down our spines. It was as though the very essence of suffering permeated the room, clinging to the very air we breathed. The pungent stench of iron and decay mingled with the stale, oppressive atmosphere, and the floor beneath our feet felt uneven, as if it had absorbed the anguish of countless souls who had once writhed in torment on that very spot. As I cautiously approached the table, the flickering light danced across the serrated edges of the instruments, and I couldn't help but envision the horrors that had been inflicted upon those unfortunate enough to find themselves strapped down, their screams echoing off the unforgiving walls. We continued our descent into the abyss, the darkness enveloping us like a suffocating shroud. It was then that we discovered a hidden chamber, its door sealed with a layer of dust and neglect. With determined curiosity, we forced it open, revealing a nightmarish tableau. Inside, the walls were adorned with cryptic symbols, drawn in crimson and obsidian. Disturbing sketches of disfigured figures and grotesque surgeries adorned the room, evoking a sense of dread that threatened to consume us. We realized that we had stumbled upon the lair of a malevolent doctor, one whose unethical practices had left an indelible mark on the asylum's history. As we delved deeper into our investigation, our hands trembling as we leafed through the brittle pages of patient records, we unearthed a grotesque chronicle of the doctor's sinister experiments. The paper, yellowed and fragile with age, seemed to whisper the horrors contained within its pages. Patient records revealed a litany of torment, horrific tales of lobotomies carried out in the name of science. The descriptions were chillingly clinical, detailing the removal of brain tissue as though it were a mundane procedure. The thought of such cruelty inflicted upon vulnerable souls sent a shiver down our spines. But the atrocities didn't stop there. Electroshock therapy, a treatment that had once been heralded as a medical breakthrough, had been twisted into a sadistic nightmare within these walls. The records recounted the screams of patients subjected to voltages that seared through their minds, leaving them forever scarred. Cruel treatments that transcended the boundaries of morality were etched into the asylum's history. Unorthodox and barbaric methods had been employed in the name of treatment, turning this place into a crucible of suffering and despair. It was a descent into madness that seemed to have no end. The very walls of the asylum bore witness to the unspeakable suffering that had transpired here. They had absorbed the anguish of countless souls, their cries and pleas echoing through the corridors like ghostly whispers. The stains of blood and tears seemed to seep from the decaying bricks, a testament to the malevolence that had taken root. We couldn't help but feel a suffocating weight of guilt and sorrow as we pored over these records. The doctor had been driven by a twisted curiosity, a thirst for knowledge that had led him down a dark path. The lives he had shattered in the pursuit of his experiments weighed heavily on our hearts. With each revelation, the asylum revealed itself as a nightmarish chamber of horrors, a place where the boundaries of humanity had been discarded in the name of science. The doctor's legacy was one of suffering, and the asylum had become a living monument to his malevolence. As we continued to uncover the grim details of the doctor's deeds, the very air seemed to grow colder. It was a place of unspeakable cruelty, and we were inextricably bound to its horrors as we delved deeper into the abyss of the doctor's madness. But our journey took an even darker turn when we uncovered a shocking revelation that tied the past to our present. Among the doctor's meticulously kept records, we stumbled upon a discovery that sent a collective shiver down our spines, leaving us utterly unnerved and questioning the very fabric of our reality. The name listed in those files was none other than that of one of our own group members, and the resemblance was uncanny, as if we had stumbled upon a nightmarish reflection of our own friend. The details recorded about this patient were chillingly accurate, down to the minutest of details. The date of admission matched our friend's date of birth, and the physical descriptions were alarmingly similar, right down to the peculiar scar on our friend's left hand. It was as though we had unearthed an alternate version of our companion, one who had been subjected to the sinister experiments and inhumane treatments recorded in the files. The implications of this discovery were horrifying, raising haunting questions about the nature of our own existence within the confines of that forsaken asylum. How could there be records of our friend's admission to an institution that had supposedly closed its doors long ago? Were we all just unwitting participants in an experiment, trapped within the twisted corridors of a reality we could not comprehend? As fear tightened its grip on our hearts, we realized that our friend's connection to the asylum's dark history was more than a mere coincidence. The malevolent doctor's unethical practices had left a legacy that spanned generations, and the sins of the past had come back to haunt us. With that revelation, we knew we had to escape the asylum's clutches before it claimed another victim. We retraced our steps through the labyrinthine hallways, our flashlights flickering in the oppressive darkness. The whispers of the past seemed to grow louder, urging us to flee. Finally, we emerged into the fading light of day, our hearts pounding with terror and disbelief. The abandoned mental asylum had exacted its toll on our group, leaving us with a haunting legacy that we could never forget. As we stepped back into the world beyond those decaying walls, we couldn't help but wonder what other dark secrets lay hidden in the shadows, waiting to be unearthed by the daring souls who dared to explore the past. It was a crisp autumn evening when our small group of investigators assembled at the gates of the long-forgotten factory in Detroit. The factory, a decaying relic of a bygone industrial era, stood eerily silent amidst the encroaching shadows. Its ominous reputation had drawn us here, and our curiosity outweighed any fear we might have felt. As we ventured into the cavernous interior, the echoes of our footsteps reverberated through the vast expanse of the factory floor. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding, as though the very walls held memories of the tragedy that had unfolded here. Our investigation began with old newspaper clippings and dusty blueprints strewn across a makeshift table. The tragic industrial accident that had occurred years ago was our focus, and we were determined to uncover the truth behind the factory's macabre history. One by one, we pored over the faded articles, tracing the events leading up to that fateful day. It was a story of neglect, greed, and the exploitation of the factory workers who had toiled within these very walls. Safety violations, long hours, and hazardous conditions had been the norm, ultimately leading to disaster. As we delved deeper into the historical records, we began to piece together the harrowing events that had transpired. The factory had been a powder keg of danger, and it was only a matter of time before tragedy struck. In the dimly lit bowels of the factory, we stumbled upon a cache of documents that revealed the unspeakable truth about the workers who had valiantly tried to raise concerns about the unsafe conditions. The papers, yellowed and frayed, told a tale of courage in the face of impending doom. These brave laborers had recognized the hazards lurking within the factory's walls. They had seen the machinery that was outdated and prone to malfunction, the worn-out safety equipment that provided no protection, and the glaring absence of proper training. Their hearts had been filled with a righteous mission to ensure their colleagues' safety. However, their noble efforts had been met with a response that sent shivers down our spines. The factory owners, driven solely by profit margins, had turned a blind eye to the workers' pleas for reform. Instead of addressing the glaring issues, they resorted to threats and intimidation, attempting to silence those who dared to speak out. The factory's corporate negligence was a chilling testament to the darkest facets of human greed. As we pored over the documents, the very air seemed to grow heavy with the weight of their stories. We could almost hear the voices of those who had dared to stand up against the callous owners, their cries for justice echoing through the decades. It was a tale of corporate indifference that had led to tragedy, and the factory had become a haunting reminder of the cost of unchecked greed. The abandoned machinery that surrounded us now stood as silent witnesses to the horrors that had unfolded within these walls. As we delved deeper into the factory's history, we couldn't shake the feeling that we were intruders in a place where the echoes of anguish still reverberated. The sacrifices of the workers had not been in vain, for their story served as a stark warning about the consequences of valuing profit over human life. The factory had become a chilling monument to corporate negligence, a place where the aspirations of the workers had been crushed beneath the weight of greed. And as we continued our exploration, we couldn't escape the eerie sensation that we were not alone in our investigation, as though the spirits of those who had suffered here were watching, their presence a constant reminder of the factory's sinister past. Our exploration of the factory's vast network of hallways and chambers revealed unsettling remnants of the past. Abandoned workstations and forgotten tools lay strewn about, a silent testament to the lives that had once been lived here. It was as though time had frozen within these walls, preserving the memories of those who had suffered. In one particularly chilling discovery, we stumbled upon an old photograph hidden beneath a pile of debris. It depicted a group of factory workers, their faces etched with exhaustion and despair. Among them was a young woman, her eyes filled with a haunting sadness. We couldn't help but wonder if she had been one of the victims of the tragedy. With the setting sun casting long, foreboding shadows throughout the factory, the oppressive atmosphere grew palpable. As night fell, a sinister transformation gripped the desolate industrial complex. What had once been a collection of lifeless machinery and dusty relics now seemed to stir with an eerie life of its own. Peculiar echoes reverberated through the factory's vast chambers, as if the very walls harbored the memories of the suffering that had unfolded within. Unexplained noises, like distant cries for mercy, echoed through the air, sending unsettling shivers down our spines. The rhythmic clanking of rusted gears and the occasional mournful whistle of escaping steam contributed to the unsettling symphony that enveloped us. Shadows, dark and elusive, danced in the corners of our vision, flitting from one decaying structure to another. They seemed to have a life of their own, moving with a purpose that defied rational explanation. Each fleeting glimpse left us with a gnawing sense of dread, as though we were being watched by unseen eyes. As we ventured further into the heart of the factory, that oppressive feeling settled upon us like a heavy cloak. It was as though the very air had thickened with malevolence, and we could almost taste the bitterness of the factory's resentment toward our intrusion. It was as though the sins of the past had seeped into the very foundations of the building, and now, we were being held accountable for disturbing their restless slumber. The factory itself seemed to awaken with a malevolent consciousness, as though it had been waiting for our arrival, harboring a grudge that transcended time. The creaking of time-worn floorboards and the flickering of dim, overhead lights only added to the surreal and terrifying experience. With every step we took, the factory's ominous reputation became increasingly justified. It was as though the very essence of the place had been tainted by the atrocities committed within its walls. And as the night deepened, our conviction grew that we were not alone in this forsaken place, that something far more sinister than mere echoes and shadows awaited our presence. We pressed on, determined to uncover the full extent of the factory's dark history. Our flashlights pierced the darkness, revealing more clues and unsettling discoveries. A chilling gust of wind swept through the abandoned corridors, carrying with it whispers of anguish. In the dim light, we pieced together the final moments leading up to the industrial accident. It was a heart-wrenching tale of chaos and desperation as workers had fought to escape the impending disaster. Their pleas for help had gone unanswered, and their attempts to flee had been in vain. As we gathered around the table once more, we realized that the factory's ominous reputation was not without cause. The tragic events of that day had left an indelible mark on the building, and the echoes of suffering still reverberated through its decaying walls. With heavy hearts, we made our way back to the factory's entrance, our investigation complete. The truth had been unveiled, and we couldn't help but feel a profound sense of sorrow for the lives lost within these haunted walls. As we stepped out into the crisp night air, the factory stood as a silent sentinel, its secrets laid bare but its scars still fresh. It was a stark reminder of the human cost of negligence and greed, and a chilling testament to the enduring legacy of the past. Now, before we come back with brand new episodes for you, do subscribe to our channel Horror Talker. And share it with your friends and family. Until next time, stay awake and stay alert, because you never know.